think the first time we heard about the Trump's message to Nigeria basically was around October, where he made a tweet, and in the tweet he said that there is a genocide against Christians going on. So actually, it
Mhm.
was a Truth Social post. So he said there was
Mhm.
a there was a genocide against Christians going on in Nigeria, and the Nigerian government has basically, the summary of it is like the Nigerian government has been negligent on what is going on, and so if the Nigerian government doesn't do anything to basically curb the violence, America is going to come into the country guns are blazing, basically meaning that he was going to like intervene militarily, right? And I remember when that happened, I kind of posted it around, and me, I
Mhm.
was obviously supportive of the initiative, but you and Joshua, you appear to be against it. I think I remember you saying you felt intimidated, I felt threatened by the comment.
Well,
I
yeah.
wanted to talk to you about it that moment, but I wasn't able to. But yeah,
Well,
so how
well.
has it been for you from that point up until now?
So, I'm going to be very factual. Um, the way Trump put the post, it is actually kind of disrespectful and intimidating. You call our country a now disgraced country. And that is wrong because you're not going to call us a now disgraced country and you expect me to feel like, oh, you want the best for me and all of that. But to be very honest, we know that there needed to be an intervention. And one thing, I think, according to the international charter, before you can even invade another country, you have to declare that there is a genocide against a group or some group of people. Uh, Russia did that in Ukraine, claimed that there was a genocide, and that gave them some sort of, I think, ability to be able to go and invade. And that was what Trump also did. Had to go weeks in, weeks out declaring that there was a genocide. But for me, when I saw that post, the way he put it, the way the post was framed, because I didn't see it as someone who wanted to come in and help us. Yeah, I saw it as someone who looked down on us and who did not respect the as sovereignty as a country. So that did not give me so much confidence, and that was why I felt that way. But we can talk about how I feel now, but I don't know if we've gotten to that stage yet. But as at that time, that was not. I was feeling very like you can't just come and talk to us like that. That is when I separated.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the sentiments regarding like Trump calling us a disgraced
A
country and all of
now
that.
disgraced
But
country.
me, yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously nobody likes that. But then, like, you look at the reality of the situation. I don't think there's much grace being like like being expressed from Nigeria at the moment. Like, there's not enough grace. We're actually truly disgraced, to be honest. If you are going to be factual,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at the security crisis that we are facing: bandits in the northwest, Boko Haram in the northeast,
Mm-hmm.
Lakurawa in the northwest. Farmer head, no, if I can't call it a farmer head actor, I should basically have Fulani headsmen
Mm-hmm.
going into farms in the north central,
Yeah.
slaughtering people. You look at the
Yeah.
southeast as
Yeah.
well, kidnapping rampant all over the country, not even only in the southeast, and then the whole IPOB, BSN, killing of people, stealing of vehicles, all those things. The economic situation of Nigeria, I mean, as at 2015, it was about 150 naira per dollar. Fast forward to 2025, 10 years now, looking at 1,500 naira per dollar. That's like 10x within 10 years. There's very little positive news of positive feedback or development that has happened in Nigeria. So truly, the country has been disgraced systematically. right? But it doesn't have to stay that way. That's the positive. So me, rather than focusing on the what, I focus on, okay, what can the future be? And I think one of the ways that we can get to a better future definitely is with the collaboration with the US. So I had to look past whatever words that Trump used or any of the other, US government officials used, and just focus on what exactly were the actions that they were going to take and whether those actions were positive for the country or not. And I mean, in my own perspective, it was always going to be a positive thing for the country to have global and international pressure come on the government, because the government has been lackadaisical
Yeah,
about
I
this whole
agree with
thing.
that.
It has been lackadaisical. So we needed some sort of international and global pressure, sustained pressure. And if it was going to come for Trump, and you know how Trump acts and speaks and all of that, well, we just have to deal with the bad sides or the negative sides of it, but accept that the benefits definitely outweigh whatever ills or risks that may be coming in place. So that was just my position.
Okay, well, you're very correct about all of that, but still, you also have to know that we have our reality as a nation, and we are gradually evolving. I agree with you very strongly that the military and the police, our armed forces generally are very bad in protecting us. And then there is this so much uh, Islamization, let me put it that way, of of Nigeria. I don't know if you noticed it. Like there was a
Mm,
systemic Islamization of Nigeria coming from the north down. Nigeria is not a
yeah.
safe country. We are seeing places that are very religious in terms of Islam that have no peace. Like there is no region in Nigeria that have very high presence of Muslims and is at peace.
Mm,
So
yeah.
yeah, so we just have to be careful. That is it. And Boko Haram they have no religion that they don't attack. There are no religions they don't attack. They attack both the Muslims and both the Christians. So I will not just be. And when we look at it also, the history of U.S. military invasion in countries. How many countries has U.S. invaded and are still successful?
I mean, there are
No.
quite a number of countries US has invaded that are successful.
Oh, please.
Yes, they've
There will
invaded
always be.
Taiwan. In fact, it wasn't even an invasion. They they
Did they invade
they
Taiwan?
built bases in. Yes,
They
you
built
won't
they
call it
built
I won't call
bases
it
in
an
Taiwan.
invasion.
Even Taiwan needs them. Look at what Taiwan is currently facing with China.
Yeah, but you said that is there any place that US have in so called invaded?
Yeah.
This is not an invasion. US are not invading Nigeria.
What makes you think at
They
that
are
point you didn't know? We are not talking about the aftermath now. We are talking about at that point. At that point, did you know if there was going to be an invasion or not? Be honest with me.
at that point I didn't even care whether it was going to be. Well,
That's
wait,
it.
anyway, first things first. Wait, no, building.
Yeah.
First things first. I stated it clearly on the group chat, and I'm sure you saw it, where I said that
Yeah.
the whole aim of this thing is to sustainably put pressure on the Nigerian government so that they can collaborate more in defense and economic ties with the US. That's what I said on the group chat, and
Okay.
I can still send you the screenshot. So
That's not a
from the
problem.
start, I knew that this was more of a pressure campaign to get the government to liaise with the US.
Let's say
Right, that's
you.
what I said from the beginning.
Let's
But
say
then even if the government decided not to liaise with the US, I still feel it to be in the best interests of Nigerians for the US to go ahead with the attack.
and just invade us. And that's
It's
what
not
they
an
don't see.
invasion.
Calm down. No,
It's
no, no.
not an invasion.
Listen. See now, scenario. It's easy for everyone to say that, oh, it was not going to be an invasion, or I thought, or I think, or I saw through it. It's just a stick and rod. This thing. But at that time, nobody knew what was in the mind of Trump. Do you know that? And I keep telling you, if a country can declare that there is genocide in a country, they have the ability to invade that country. Do you know that? So what did they do at first? They declared that there was genocide in Nigeria. Then Trump made a post about it. We don't know what he was going to do. I, for one, I thought that there could have been a possible invasion into the country. So I didn't know, and I could not just sit it down and just be like, oh, there's not going to be an invasion. We live in a very volatile world right now. So, and if he decided that he was going to invade, what was going to happen? But yes, let's look at what the aftermath effect is right now, and not just dwell on what we thought at that point. So, but at that point, I'll be very honest with you, I thought there was going to be an invasion.
Yeah, so well, yeah, true. Anyway, I don't think it's whether or not it was going to be with the support of the Nigerian government or without support of the Nigerian government. I still think it would have been in the best interest of Nigeria for the strike to have happened anyway, and more of those strikes should happen. And what I'm also saying is that um, I mean, the Nigerian government was kind of put in a tough spot. Like, what are you going to say? The US is offering to attack terrorists in the country. Are you going to tell them no? When everybody is saying the vast amount of insecurity that is happening all over the country. So, if at all that happens, then definitely they are going to implicate yourself in of being a participant in whatever sort of like terrorist schemes have been going on in the country. So the government
Yeah,
basically did not have much of a choice. It was like, are you going to deny support against terrorists? I mean, they didn't really have much of a choice anyway. So,
yeah,
but yeah, and as regarding your point, as like the countries that have, uh, at least survived or prospered beyond US this thing, I think there's the history is still filled with a lot of examples. History is still filled with a lot of examples of countries that have been. Okay, I think Papa is here.
he left.
Yeah, I think he's back now. So history is filled with examples of people that have, of countries that have suffered US invasion and they are thriving now. Look at Japan, for example. Japan was invaded by US after the Pearl Harbor attacks. And when the US eventually captured Japan, one of the things they did is that they helped to stabilize the country. They removed all forms of radicalism because by that time Japan was extremely imperialistic.
Okay.
They colonized Taiwan, they colonized China, they colonized a lot of the Asian countries. So the US invaded Japan and then they de-radicalized them. And look at Japan today, they are doing well. The US also invaded Germany. They de-radicalized the Nazis. And look
When
at them,
did
they
they
are doing
invade
well.
Germany? When did they invade Germany?
They invaded with the allies. They invaded with the
Okay.
allies now.
Oh, please.
Yes, they invaded
Let's look
alongside
at
the allies. Are you
countries.
kidding me?
Don't come to me
They
and talk to me
invaded
about
they
countries that it was not only US influences. Let's look at
okay,
countries that
okay, for
not
sake
US
that.
influences.
Okay, even in Korea, the US invaded through
What
Southern
part of
Korea.
Korea?
South Korea.
Okay.
They invaded
Okay.
through South Korea and they pushed back the communists to the north. And South
Okay.
Korea is doing well today.
Okay.
So the
So
fact
so
or the statement that
okay.
US invasion is
Okay.
always going to end badly, I don't think it's true.
I
Sometimes it
don't think
depends on.
see, I don't think it will always end badly. But the possibility, see, we live in a world that is more pluralized now than then. Now look at Afghanistan. Look at Iran. Look at okay, you are talking about look at Vietnam. Look at these countries. Now see, let me be very factual with you. Although I will not lie, when Trump made that statement and China came out to make their own statement that we Nigeria has the right to, I think, to grow in the reality of his own nation, or whatever it was. I felt very angry, and that was what even made me now start supporting the US, because believe me, I was very angry with China. Like, people are dying here, but because the country is a bit stable for you people to have to make money or
Yeah.
whatever, you don't even care. I don't see China as a country that cares. I feel like US cares about us more than China, and China is
China
making
have
more,
a
and
yeah.
China is making more money off us than the US is, in my own opinion. So I felt very
Yeah, I
bad
mean,
about it.
yeah, like China have a non-interventionist policy. So the only way they will operate in your country is economically, or through maybe their own sort of like aid that kind of benefits them ultimately. But if you expect China
Yes.
to intervene militarily in your country, you are going to be on a long thing. China will never intervene militarily in your country,
Or even
especially
help
if you are
you
not
now when they
around
see
their
them.
region.
Yeah.
They will never
Or,
help you. They will never help you militarily or any way,
I
shape,
am
or
telling
form,
you, it's too
except if you are in
obvious.
their region. Except if you are in their region. That's the truth. So anybody that is shouting, we should forsake the US, we should go and support, we should go with Russia and China. Like, are you kidding me?
I'm
I
telling
mean,
you.
that's the same mistake Niger made. Niger broke off
Hmm.
ties with France,
Hmm.
and they went to go and pursue ties with Russia and Wagner forces in Russia.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Mali, by the way.
Hmm.
And now they are getting overrun by the militants, by the Islamists. I mean, the ISIS are holding Bamako, the capital city of Mali, to a
Yeah.
siege. Like, you can't even get fuel, food inside the capital. That's just how bad the situation has gotten. And Wagner forces they've pretty much been disbanded. Their ruler has been killed in Russia. So,
Hmm.
like, relying on Russia or China for security, I mean, it's always it's a very very to me, it's a very very poor way of, or rather, it's an unreliable method,
Yes.
right, of national security. I mean, see what happened in Syria too.
I tell you.
They couldn't even protect Bashar al-Assad from just a group of rebel forces.
And that's
I
Putin's
mean,
Putin's ally.
exactly, now that's one of their strongest ally in the Middle East,
I'm
and
telling
they
you.
couldn't protect him from just a bunch of rebel forces. So, I mean, so Russia have put all their eggs in the basket of Ukraine. They don't have anybody this time. They've been seriously weakened, and I don't see them being a strong, reputable, or reliable security partner in the near future.
All
I
right,
can hear you. I
so
can hear you now.
I okay. Yeah, I joined in about 5 minutes ago. So I heard how you and
Yeah,
Abiodun
we're
are
talking about we're talking
arguing
about
over
like
this US.
so I don't know if you've been following the news and been hearing like following the US Nigeria strikes on some ISIS targets. You've been hearing some arguments in support of it and some arguments against it, like we see with Sheikh Gomi. So Sheikh Gomi has been out and about, condemning the alliance with the US that carried out the strikes, and asking the Nigerian government to forsake any sort of alliance with the US, and we should instead pursue security alliance with Turkey and Pakistan as alternatives. So his reason for that is that the US has blood on its hands, and we shouldn't be teaming up with people that have blood on their hands, basically. So what's your own perspective about it, about what Sheikh Gumi has been saying and the condemnation of the strikes?
Huh. So is it Pakistan that does not have blood on its hands, or Turkey that does not have blood? What blood is he talking about? You see, it still boils down to what I said the other time. The difference in ideology, you understand, in difference in perspectives when we look at Nigeria as a whole. On one end, we have people condemning the activities of these bandits, you understand. On the other end, we have people saying we should try and placate these bandits and form an alliance, beg them, pander to them. In what world would it make sense for a victim to pander to his oppressor? But that's just the reality
Mm,
of Nigeria. You understand? The reason why I still have that strong opinion, that strong belief that the reason why people like Gumi, you understand, can walk
yeah.
freely in this country and say these kind of things is because he's being backed by the elites in the north. Yes, he's being backed by the elites, that northern hegemony that we're
Mm,
conversant with, we've always read about. They are backing him, there is no doubt. You understand? Because in what world would somebody, I've never heard of it anywhere. Even as crazy as Gaddafi was, you understand, he never tolerated this form of madness, terrorism. You understand? He would kill the terrorists anytime they operate if he ever laid his hands on them. But we're now in a country where we have these fundamentalists, these Islamic fundamentalists, trying to impose their own beliefs on people, and in doing so, they are trying to tell people to associate. We should negotiate rather with bandits. Oh, well,
Yeah.
that does not make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. It's just a reflection. Abiodun said he's wondering if there's a tolerance for violence in Islam. Of course, there is. There's no need to mince words. You understand? The only reason why you don't want to say it openly is because you have Muslim friends that you don't want to offend. Then again, I have this firm belief that anytime any of these religious attacks happen, their silence to me is a subtle endorsement of the violence. I stand to be corrected anyway.
Yeah.
Because if something bad is happening, you understand, and you don't come out to condemn it, you are subtly in some circumstances you are subtly endorsing it, and that's just the way it is. So it's just the well, I just can't understand the kind of mess we find ourselves in this country. We're so diverse in terms of religion, in terms of ethnicity. This whole Islamic extremism thing is something that is really big problem. The only reason why we're revisiting it today, and the reason why we can sit down freely and talk about it today, is because Trump came out and said he's going to bomb Nigeria. You understand?
Yeah.
Like couple of months ago, we had stories of how Christians were being massacred in the north. You understand? This Even the moderate Muslims were trying to subdue the voices that wanted to speak about their experiences. You understand? I
Yeah.
saw I saw clips of people that you not even expect, you understand, talking about what they experienced, you understand, in the north, in the name of religion. And these things, don't get it twisted. Now they will come and tell you that the victims now are Muslims and Christians. Okay, fine. But at a point in time in the history of this country, you understand, that violence was inflicted solely based on religious reasons. The reason why some people were
Yeah.
attacked in Nigeria at some point in time was because of their religion. Let's not lie about it. You
Yeah.
understand? You can say now, okay, maybe
Yeah.
now it has become less of religion and more of whatever, maybe more of politics. You understand? But at some point, have you
Okay.
forgotten Zango Qatar crisis of '92? It's just sad. It's just sad. Let me just stop here so you can go ahead.
Yeah. So the thing is this, like, following through what you just said, the thing is, when you talk about, I think I'll just start with the whole Christian attack stuff. For the genesis of the whole insecurity, it first began as like, okay, uh, an attack against, and to me, I still feel that that is still the primary target. Like, Christians are still the primary target actually. They attack Muslims or they attack mosques, but when you check out the mosques that are being attacked, it's either they are Shia mosques or they are mosques in which the imams have spoken out against or have condemned or are not in support of that extreme fundamentalist Islamic ideology, right? So it's very specific mosques that they get attacked, maybe Shia mosques or Sunni mosques in which the clerics are not as supportive of Boko Haram as they would expect them to be. So the primary targets have always been Christians. That's just the fundamental truth of it. And any other like sort of like narrative trying to distort that, I think, is flawed. And as regarding Sheikh Gumi and all of that, like, I think Bioden was right in the sense that I don't think, at least based on the knowledge or information, the information I have from him or of him, I don't think he has committed any crime. He's still speaking within his right to free speech. But definitely there should be some sort of investigation or at least examination of just his proximity, in quotes, to some of the people that are perpetrating these issues. Why do they feel so comfortable with choosing him as like a representative to speak on their behalf? As in, why is he always trying to play the middle game between these murderers basically and the government? So I think there should be a bit of examination basically on just how close the ties are. And I guess, when that is said and done, then we can now know whether or not he may be truly be innocent and just speaking his mind, or if there's something else beneath the cover. And then, like, following through what Brother said as well, like, I I mean, I don't know if you saw this Somaliland recognition that was done by Israel. I don't know if you heard of it. So I think it was just like 2 days ago, thereabout, yeah, that Israel, formally recognized Somaliland as like a distinct country. Um, so it was just like 2 days ago that Israel recognized Somaliland as a distinct country of its own, and some Arab countries obviously came out against it, and were like, this violation of the sovereignty of Somalia and all of that. And as the countries, different countries were coming out to give their own statements, and I saw like a release of statements from, I think, the OIC, or that's like OIS, Organization of Islamic States, or something like that.
Mhm.
And there was a joint statement that they released. So I was now reading the countries that wrote it or signed it. I was seeing Jordan, I saw Egypt, I saw Saudi. No, so Saudi wasn't even there. Sorry, I saw Qatar. I saw, I think Lebanon was there, and some other countries in the Middle East. And then I now saw Nigeria, and I'm like, what? From where to where? So like, as in, to me, it just felt so. It was sickening. Basically, it was sickening to me. Like, why on earth would Nigeria be a part of the Organization of Islamic States or Islamic countries and stuff like that? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Nigeria is a secular state. We should not be in any sort of religious organization, global religious organization, or party to it in any way, shape, or form. I don't know when that treaty was signed, or when we accepted to be a part of that organization, but definitely we have to pull out from the organization. So I think like more needs to be said about that thing, because it was a real distortion of the facts. So but then, like, Biodun, I don't know, if did you see that recognition of like Somaliland from Israel? What do you think about it?
I saw it. Israel is always how would I put it? They are miles ahead and trying to question you in my own opinion. But yes, it was also needed. People, the thing with Somaliland is that they are more liberal, right? And they are more in support of Israel. I read about the history of the Somalia and the Somaliland and how it happened. And just let me take a small diversion. Somalia broke broke because of religion religious issue too. So that's part of the main of contention. Somalia has become a safe haven for terrorists. Is a total I
Mm,
don't think that place should even be a country because of the breakdown of law and order in that place. But now this is the diversion I want to take. I keep telling people who are close to me that if Nigeria is going to break, it's not going to break because of resources. I promise you. Resources will not be what will break Nigeria. What will break Nigeria will be religion intolerance. That is what is going to break Nigeria. Let me give you an example of what we are seeing right now. Just look at Nigeria right now. And look at what Opa said. We in the south, we are more progressive, are we not? We are more
yeah.
progressive, we are more educated, We are more economic driven. We are more liberal. We take our security very seriously. Insecurity is happening in the north. Association of Southwest Governors were holding security forum. The Association of Southern Governors were holding economic forum where they also discussed insecurity. In the north, they also held their own security forum, but they are scared to do some of the major things that they require to do. Look at now, in the southeast, in the southwest, sorry, the governors came together and started Amotekun. You know that, right?
Yeah,
And Amotekun was basically because they saw that there are a majority of vast land that they cannot protect. It is not possible, and police cannot stay in those places. So why not us bring people that will employ that will go around those areas and ensure safety? Do you see now? Now look at the north. Do you feel when I am asking you this question, do you feel like the northern governors are doing enough to ensure security of life? In your own opinion.
do you think what?
The northern governors are doing enough to ensure security of life.
No, honestly not.
Okay, thank you. Do you think the West are gradually getting fed up of their lack of um, agility to this problem?
Do you mean the southwest?
The South generally.
Yeah,
Okay. Even the Southwest too. We are. If you look at the if you look if you, even if
yeah,
you look at Twitter, you can see that people in the Southwest, they are very welcoming of the strike from America. Why
yeah, yeah.
people in the North are still defending and saying that why was the strike conducted on Christmas Day in Sokoto? Do you see now? See, they will get to a time when the people in South and the people in the Southwest are going to get tired of this and they are going to start requesting to break open from Nigeria generally. So it's not going to be resource or lack or some people being marginalized that is going to exactly break us. It's going to be that. And that's similarly what happened in Somalia and Somaliland. There are some group of people who are progressive, who are liberal, who are westernized, who are educated, who believe that they should have a place that is void of terrorists, a place that has reduced Islamic influence. And that is basically what happened. And I'm telling you that if this continues in Nigeria, that is basically what is going to happen. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you on that. I think I agree with you on that. Like, I think it's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back ultimately. Particularly as you're starting to see more and more attacks trickle down to the south. Like, you see what is happening in Kwara State, for example. Obviously, that pains most of the people in the southwest when you see, the decapitation going on in Kwara State. Nobody wants to see that. It's obviously going to be a huge turnoff, and if something is not done to, curb it as soon as possible, then definitely those frictions for breakup are going to come up. Yeah, Olorebe, so what do you have to say about like the whole? I don't know if you be paying attention about it. The whole Israel recognition of Somaliland, and the response or the backlash that has come as a result of it, and also basically the whole sort of the divide between the north and the south in their perception of the threat of like Islamic fundamentalism.
All right. So regarding the Somaliland news, truth is, I just saw it. I think I just saw a bit of it on social media. I saw a video actually of some Somalis. Those people now, would they be referred to as Somalis? Or what would they be called now?
Is it the
So they're probably
Somaliland
still
people?
Somalis. Yeah, the citizens of Somaliland.
Um,
They will probably still be called Somalis
they call
anyways.
themselves Isaac clan or something like that. Sha. I think there's a name for them. I think it's Isaac they call themselves, but they don't really see themselves as Somalis. But yeah, you can go
Okay.
ahead. Don't worry.
So my point is I even saw them waving the flag of Israel. They were celebrating, they were chanting. Well, the thing
Yeah,
is, I don't really know much about the old details of how they've been agitating to get their own freedom, their own sovereign state. But good luck to them. I wish them the very best. And of course, because at this point in time, the political interests of the newly created Somaliland and the interest of Israel are aligned. So it's understandable when you see Israel giving support. But whatever it is, at least it's good to see that at least we've seen a classic example of how when people are determined to, defend and fight for their right to self-determination, you understand, it is very achievable as long as you set your heart to it. So good luck to them on that. So as for the North and South divide on when it comes to the views on this Islamic terrorism, it's straightforward. I mean, it's straightforward. Uh, the thing is, if it continues like this, we've always been. I would agree with Biodun on one thing. So it might be the reason for Nigeria's eventual breakup, because as far as I'm concerned, this country will still break up one way or another. That's my own belief. The reason for Nigeria's eventual breakup might not even be what we are expecting. Everybody's always thinking because of ethnicity, or everybody's always bringing. When you talk about the possible um, fractionation of Nigeria, you might be thinking of, okay, maybe it's because of the ethnic crisis or ethnic tension, bigotry, and all that. At the end of the day, it might just be religion that will cause the eventual divide. Because, I mean, look at what happened on Christmas Day. You understand? Fine. I know some people
yeah,
might want to say they are suspicious of USA's intervention. You understand? Because of their antecedent. Okay, fine. But at the very least, even if you want to express your concern in that area, you should also acknowledge the fact that they've taken out terrorists. You understand? They've killed terrorists. Why is it so hard for these people to acknowledge the fact that these people are terrorists, and the only judgment they deserve is what they got from the hands of Trump?
yeah,
That's it. Why is it so hard for them? It just shows you how diverse we are in terms of ideology. You understand how ideologically
yeah,
diverse this country is. And the truth is, there's nowhere in the world where you see a country. Nigeria is an anomaly. You understand? Because there's nowhere in the world where you see people being divided in practically almost every topic that has to do with national development. There's the only time you see unity, in the true Nigerian unity, is at the elite level when it comes to corruption. Of course, when they want to
yeah,
steal, that's the only time you understand what one Nigeria is. But that one is not enough. It's not enough to sustain a nation. So that's why this country will break up. There's nothing that's going to happen. You might not like it, those that like Nigeria might not like it, but that's the truth, because see the manifestations of what this current reality is. People are giving excuses for terrorism. Some people were even saying Trump is trying. This one is a Christian genocide, that they've already done their own Christian. Imagine, see the ridiculous thing. So, I mean, it's sad, but at the end of the day, it will eventually happen. As you straw, I'll break that camel's back. I just I pray that when it eventually happens, it will be on mutual terms. There won't be any need for anybody to die needlessly, because nobody is what, like,
mm,
Nigeria is not worth dying for. That's the truth.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's all.
Okay, that's very strong points. Very strong points indeed. I think when I was asking why was Palestine even against it? Yeah, I mean Palestine are against, and I think most of the Muslim countries they are just against anything that is Israel. I mean, this country, this Somaliland, they've been governing themselves for over 34 years.
Yes, I
They've been
wanted to
governing
ask
themselves for
about
over 34 years. I think their constitution was created in like year 2000 stroke 2001. So this is like a, and they've had like three or four different, heads of state or presidents come into power, basically, or I think prime ministers rather come into power. So it's like this is like a country that is functioning in every way, shape, and form. The only thing is that maybe they've been having, like Somali occupation and pressure from their southern regions, right? But other than that, they're like a functioning state, and the Muslim countries refuse to recognize them because obviously, I don't, well, for reasons best known to them, right? But there are allegations that maybe because they want like this domineer, like they like the way Somali is basically. The state of Somali is in their interest. They want to keep it that way, and having like Somaliland like a strong nation arise from it, it's going against the conventional plan. And then also the fact that they now decided to liaise with Israel, which is seen as a threat to most of them. Because if Israel, for any reason, suddenly like builds like defense ties with Somaliland, what that will mean is that Israel will now have like a solid military presence in like the Horn of Africa. So they'll be very close to the Red Sea, and they'll be very close to Yemen. And like Yemen, one of the advantages Yemen has had over Israel is that it's a very far away place from Israel. But then by the time if Israel are able to build like a base, basically, or a strong military presence in Somaliland, they'll be able to conveniently attack, Yemen. They'll be able to also conveniently attack uh, any sort of, any sort of like military attacks or intervention by the Houthis against commercial ships of Israel in the Red Sea. Because one thing that's been happening is that the Houthis have been targeting ships that are going towards Israel through that Red Sea. And so if Israel are able to gain or any sort of military presence in Somaliland, they'll be able to also mitigate those attacks by the Houthis. So it's going to level the playing field badly. And the Houthis and the Muslims generally are against that. But then to me, I'm just like, if you are against Somaliland getting independence from Somali, so by what moral judgment are you now going to advocate basically for the creation of like a two-state solution for Gaza to be a free state from Israel, like a free Palestine state and all of that, away from Israel's control? I mean, you can't be advocating for freedom on one part and advocating for subjugation on another part. So it's like you just have to choose a struggle. And the Arab countries were not willing to do it, and Israel did what they were not willing to do. And it's only a matter of time before more and more countries start to recognize Somaliland, because I think that's a very strategic location for geopolitics. So that's pretty much it. Anyway, so it's been an interesting conversation. I guess it's been about over an hour, Sha, and it's been an interesting one. Thank you guys for
Sorry,
joining me.
there's one more thing I'd like to talk about. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, yeah,
Can
no
you hear
problem.
me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So you mentioned that you saw the list of countries that is it that condemned the creation of Somaliland, and Nigeria was part of it. Is
No,
that what
no,
you
no,
said?
that's not what
I
I
just
said.
want to be
No, that's not
clear.
what I said. I
Okay.
said I saw like a number of countries and organizations condemned Israel's recognition of Somaliland. So it's not about the creation. Somaliland has already been existing for like 34 years, but those countries condemned Israel's recognition of the state of Somaliland. right? And when I checked the countries, African Union
Okay, and
condemned
you
it,
said
and then
Nigeria
also
was
the
among.
organization, no, 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 the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, which is supposed to be like a organization for Muslim Muslim states, basically, like religious fundamental Islamic fundamentally religious states, right? Where you have countries like Jordan, Pakistan, um, Indonesia, Bangladesh, all these Muslim fundamental states and all of that. And I now saw Nigeria as part of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. And to me, it just felt it was sickening. Like, why on earth will we be a part of such an organization? Nigeria is a secular state. We are not in any way a theocracy or a religiously inclined country. It is fundamentally a a secular state. So yeah, that to me that pissed me off. And then I did a bit of research into it. I saw that it was even Babangida's time that we got into that organization. But I think it's time we pull out of such an organization. There has to be much more pressure. I think people are talking about it on Twitter, but I hope we can sustain the pressure so that the country can get out of that sort of organization. We have no business being there.
Okay, so I want to ask, um, do we have any equivalent on the other side? Like maybe Nigeria is a member of any Christian state, something
None
equivalent
that
to
I
what
know
this
of.
organization is. Okay, so here's what I even want to say. You remember a couple of months ago when we were talking about when during the hunger, you understand, where the vice president went to talk recklessly, in my opinion, about the situation between Israel and Palestine, and I said he has to remember that Nigeria is a secular country. I think that's where the issue is. You see, there are a lot of things that are going on beneath. You see, Nigeria is so complicated right now. We're facing a lot of issues, economically, politically, that we tend to lose sight of some of these things. And these things are very, very important. They are very, very important because I believe I might be a conspiracy theorist for saying this, but I believe that there is an agenda, you understand, a growing agenda, a growing plan to Islamize this country. You understand? Because
Yeah.
look at what you just said now. The signs are there, honestly. The signs, and it's just really tragic. And that's one of the reasons why everybody needs to, I've always been talking about coming down to that round table. We need to renegotiate the terms and conditions which are going to direct the which are going to guide the directive principles of what this country is going to. We need to know what Nigeria really means. You understand? What are we doing? Because if something like this can be happening in what is supposed to be a secular state, then I mean, what are we now calling ourselves a secular state for? What's the
Yeah.
democracy all about? I mean, all these flaws are things that we need to critically discuss. But I don't know. So we are so, as I said before, we are so occupied with a lot of problems that all these things just go unnoticed. And it is very dangerous because it is setting a very dangerous precedent. The thing is, when things like this want to unfold, before you see the extremes of situations panning out. They usually start gradually, subtly. And this thing we're talking about is one of the subtle ways by which these extreme eventualities happen. So it's something we need to talk about. Honestly, it's just sickening. And when you were seeing it, I was like, what kind of, and we say, man, a lot of things are happening that we're not even aware of. I swear. A
Yeah.
lot of things are happening.
I
Anyways,
mean,
that's just what I want
I
to say.
mean, yeah, like most Nigerians would not even have known that we were part of such an organization, if not that they released a statement and then they added the list of all their member organizations, and I saw Nigeria there. And I'm just like, from where to where, like, what on earth are we doing in this place? I'm seeing countries like Jordan, like Pakistan, like Bangladesh, Indonesia, um, Qatar, and the likes, and I'm seeing Nigeria among them. It was just so irritating to see. So, but then obviously there was a lot of the news is so much. There's so much turnaround, or let's say turnover for the news that a lot of these things just get swept under the carpet. But I hope we can at least sustain the pressure. We have no business being in that organization, and the government should, as soon as possible, pull out from the organization. And something that at least me I'll be pushing for from my own little quarter, right? And hopefully there's much more of a platform to advocate against such. But yeah, that's just it, man. That's just it. So ultimately, we are going to have to get to that point where we have to call a spade, and discuss the harsh realities of the country and where we want the future of the country, where we want the trajectory of the country to go in the nearest future, basically, right? It has to be said, it has to be discussed. So yeah, I guess that's just it. But thank you for joining in. Ruby, thanks for joining in. I think it's been an interesting one. We started like around past 9, and this is past 10, so it's time to wrap it up. But yeah, thanks to everyone that joined in. I guess we wanted to talk about the Nigeria US alliance. I think we touched on it a bit. We didn't go as in depth as we'd have wanted to, but yeah, that's just the situation of the discussion basically. And we also talked about the Israel's recognition of Somaliland. We had a number of people that wanted to speak, but I think they were having issues joining in. So, but then anyway, it was a good conversation, all the same. So, thank you to everyone that joined in, and do have a good rest of your night. Take care. Bye.